Hello. Today I am beginning another new session on Incoterms 2020. We will be talking about CFR, cost and freight. I am Humaira. I retired from State Bank as a faculty. I regularly take sessions for CDCS, Certified Documentary Credit Specialist, the examination conducted by LIBF. Shortly, I will be launching my website, Success to CDCS. Here you will find all the video recordings of the entire chapters, 25 chapters. You will find the PowerPoint presentations, the document examination, the mock test, the practice test. So it's wonderful to launch and see your success. Meanwhile, I just thought that I will share with you the Incoterms in this video, so through YouTube. So let's start with Incoterms 2020, and that is CFR. As we all know that there is a process involved from the exporter to the importer, from the exporting country to the import destination country. Now let us see, you have the exporter is in Beijing, China. If he wants to export, let us say, some goods that has to travel to the buyer, the importer, there is the inland transportation involved, the customs, the terminal charges, the Shanghai port, he has to load the goods on board the vessel, or the entire travel can be by different modes of transport, road, rail, it could be by air. Again, after landing in Mumbai port, you find the customs, the loading and unloading charges, the inland transportation to the importer's destination. So, a very important point to consider in any Incoterm is the delivery point. The point where the responsibility is transferred from the seller to the buyer. Because based on these delivery points, ICC brought out 11 Incoterms, and Incoterms stand for International Terms. So Incoterms are actually related to the obligations of the seller and the buyer, the risks involved, the costs like packing, loading, security related, terminal charges, loading, unloading, the freight charges, who is to bear and from which delivery point. The responsibility transfers at which delivery point. So the key is delivery point. So with this, let us start cost and freight. As you can see in the slide here, there is a word port put beside CFR. So when you look at the word port, it is restricted to sea or inland waterway transport. CFR is restricted to sea or inland waterway transport, and the CFR is suited where the seller has direct access to the vessel. So he can load the bulk cargoes or non-containerized goods. Because see, for containerized goods, it is difficult to take the container to the terminal. Generally, containerized goods are at the freight forwarder's warehouse, where the logistics handles the cargoes. So for containerized goods, you can consider CPT, carriage paid to. So in this CFR, let us say the exporter is exporting iron ore from his yard in Orissa. You can see on the slide left side, there is an exporter. And on the right side, you will find the importer at Shanghai in his factory. So the iron ore is exported from Orissa to Shanghai in China. Now the exporter, in his warehouse, he does all the packing of the goods. After packing, what does he do? He loads it in the truck. And you see the small beautiful truck written below inland transportation. He will load it into the truck. And once the goods are loaded, the transportation is done by the seller. He has to reach the Visakhapatnam port. He delivers the goods here, cleared for export, and pays the customs. if any freight forwarder charges are there, freight forwarders charges are there, he will be paying the freight forwarders charges and the terminal charges, and then he will also pay the terminal charges at Visakhapatnam port, and from there the goods are loaded onto the ship. Here from Visakhapatnam port to Shanghai port, you'll find there is an ocean freight charges. The freight charges are also borne by the seller. So seller delivers the goods cleared for export, gets them loaded onto the ship, pays for the ocean freight to the named port, that is, or the place, that is Shanghai port. So risk is transferred as soon as the goods have been loaded on board the vessel. So you can see the arrow there, a red arrow at the top. As soon as the goods are loaded onto the vessel, the risk is transferred. But we have to consider 2 points here. The seller delivers them at the port of loading, that is at Visakhapatnam port. The seller has delivered, but you see, he has paid till the port of destination, that is the Shanghai port. So these are the 2 points to be considered in CFR. The seller delivers at the port of loading but pays till the port of destination. So that means in our field 45A in MT 700, if it is by CFR, and let us say the important Shanghai factory is importing 50,000 tons of iron ore, how do you write? In the description of goods, field 45A, 50,000 tons iron ore, CFR. He has paid up to where? Up to Shanghai. So terminal XYZ at Shanghai. So terminal XYZ Shanghai, China. And what is the source of ours? Incoterm 2020. So that means when you write terminal XYZ Shanghai, that means seller has taken the responsibility for making the payment till Shanghai port. So the seller has included all the cost charges, freight charges till the Shanghai. But his responsibility is transferred at Visakhapatnam port once the goods have been loaded on board the vessel. So in short, if I would like to summarize about CFR, what do we say? The seller at his warehouse does all the packing. Then what does he do? He does the inland transportation. Then what? That is loading into the truck. Then all the charges, delivery to the port, freight forwarders charges, terminal charges, customs, export duty, security clearance, and then at Visakhapatnam port, all the origin terminal charges. Then he has to load it onto the carriage. The carriage charges are paid up to Shanghai port. Once the goods land at Shanghai port, it is the buyer's responsibility to unload them, pay the customs, pay the import duty taxes, take the goods in another truck, inland transportation. You can see the yellow truck there, inland transportation. The buyer takes it to his factory. So CFR is restricted to sea or inland waterway transport. This is suited where direct access the seller has to the vessel. A point to be remembered is the seller delivers at the port of loading but pays till the port of destination. So with this, I think CFR is clear to you. Thank you very much.